So far this hour, we've spent a lot of time talking about Monday night and the fallout from it. My next guest wrote a compelling piece about it with the headline, Trump's American Dystopia has reached a new and ominous cliff. I'm going to read a portion of it now for you. For Trump, the show of bravado, the made-for-TV routing of largely young demonstrators in Lafayette Park is not merely a reflex, it's a campaign strategy. The president is trying to capitalize on the disaster, hoping to accrue public support by strutting his phony, carefully constructed, tough guy persona. I want to bring in the writer, world affairs columnist Frida Ghitis, also former CNN producer and correspondent. And Frida, you know, when I went through some of the language that preceded Monday and then obviously what the president said Monday night, there's always this debate for the past 3.5 years that, you know, to think this guy plays three-dimensional chess is giving him way too much credit. This is ill thought off and knee-jerk. But when he quoted when the looting starts, the shooting starts, the person made famous for saying that was a racist police chief in Miami in '68 during the race riots. When he talked about, you know, the ominous weapons and the ferocious dogs, everybody's mind immediately went to Pettus Bridge in Alabama, again, during the civil rights. Again, is he going freedom of association, just thinking the scariest things he can say? Or do you think there's a method to the madness with what he's doing?
You know, I don't think he plays three-dimensional chess, but I do think he has the instincts of an authoritarian leader. He goes for shows of strength. He is obsessed with how he looks, how his administration looks. And we saw that very clearly in the transcript, the audio of the conference call he had with governors when he told them that they looked like fools and that they needed to look tough, that the world is laughing at them, which is all, by the way, not true. The world is not laughing. The world is horrified. So I don't think Trump is making, you know, a great strategic calculation that he's staying up at night and drawing, you know, 10 steps ahead. But he does have this instinct of showing strength, of showing a macho posture, of trying to draw the support and the attention of nationalists, of very religious people. It's a playbook that we have seen with him and with other authoritarian leaders around the world.
You know, I know you remember this, Frida, but I was going through some old notes, and there was an interesting conversation that Hillary Clinton shared in an interview recently when she was talking about, you know, that painful moment for her where she had to sit in the crowd with the former presidents and first ladies during the inauguration of Donald Trump. And there was a portion in the speech where at one point even George W. Bush leaned over and said, "Do you believe this bleep?" I want to play the clip here because it's really dystopian. And if you go back 3.5 years, you look to what he was saying now and where we are today. Let's play that.
The crime and the gangs and the drugs that have stolen too many lives and robbed our country of so much unrealized potential. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now.
I wonder when he comes to this moment, and obviously we're in the middle of a pandemic and an economic crisis that could border on something potentially, you know, not seen since the Depression. When he sees the images, do you have a sense from the conga line of people that have come and gone from his administration, the books from firsthand accounts, etc.? What does he see when he sees the images in American cities? Because even yesterday, he seemed to be egging on use of force, even when there wasn't violence in the streets.
You know, when that clip from Trump's inauguration speech that is classic fascist rhetoric. And I am not saying that Trump is a fascist, but he is taking a playbook. He is maximizing, exaggerating the problems, making people feel frightened and promising that he is the one who can fix it. These disturbances in the street are exactly the kind of environment that Trump and somebody else with such an ability to exploit people's fears could leverage to his own advantage. And that is what he's trying to do. You know, people most Americans are horrified at what is happening, at the killing of innocent black men. They support the sentiment of the protesters, but nobody likes to see riots. Nobody likes to see cities burning, people looting, stealing. Nobody likes that. So Trump is trying to capture this moment to his advantage, and it comes at a time when he can use it to change the subject from the pandemic, from the economic freefall that we're in. Some people may see this, may look at what's happening in the country and say this is terrible for Trump, but he sees it as the manifestation, the actualization of what he claimed was happening when he took office. In January of 2017, there was no looting. There was no American carnage. There were no soldiers in the street trying to defend store owners and stores. That is happening now, 3.5 years after he became president. And this is what he claimed he could fix. So now he can dust off those promises and say, see, here it is. The country is in chaos. I will fix it. And hope that we don't remember that the country was not in chaos when he took office.
I'm curious your feeling in that apparently after the events of Monday night, there was a lot of uncomfortable folks at DOD saying, what are we doing here? The Insurrection Act, this isn't who we are. This isn't what we do. We saw the resignation. We talked about it earlier in the program. And then Esper's remarks today. People are trying to distance themselves from this, and I haven't seen the chairman of the Joint Chiefs pick his head above water since Monday night's events. Do you think we found a line that those folks who even have enabled this president won't cross? I saw a really fascinating piece in the Washington Post with former CIA agents, and I'm not talking fringe folks, I'm talking people who ran Asia and Europe, et cetera, saying, we've seen this playbook before. It's what the strongmen do in authoritarian regimes. So this isn't all hyperbole. We maybe chalk it up that they're always so disorganized coming out of the White House, seemingly making up as they go along. But this apparently freaked out a lot of people, not just that it's Trump being Trump, but this looks like something out of Tiananmen Square, not the United States.
It's true. It's extraordinary that this is happening. All the things that we worried about when Trump was elected, our worst fears seem to be taking shape, seem to be becoming reality. And we keep thinking every time there's a new low with Trump, we think, okay, this is it. We've reached bottom. This is the moment when his enablers are going to say enough. It has to stop.
Yeah, and I know I speak for everybody, and this isn't on a partisan line here. People are just exhausted by this. It's exhausting trying to keep track of, one scandal after another. And then when we're in a moment of crisis, we know we can't look for any kind of unifying message. It's just how much worse is he going to make the situation? Anyway, Frida, a fantastic piece here. I appreciate a few minutes tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Up next, the first African-American man elected mayor of Baltimore. He'll weigh in on the protest, policing issues, especially in communities of color, and more.